So the early reactions to the Rise of Skywalker seem to be very mixed, and this is amongst Star Wars fans and critics who were at the LA premiere last night and have posted their social media reactions, obviously online today. And it's, as I said, it's very mixed. You've got a few people coming out and saying it's a triumphant ending to the saga, and then you've got other people and critics coming out and saying that basically there's too much fan service, too convoluted, essentially that the story felt like it was 3 movies jammed into one, and they should have done this stuff earlier on in the other films that released in this new sequel trilogy. And I feel like as Star Wars fans, this is kind of worrying. I mean, we saw this for a while, that it was coming along, with The Last Jedi having very great critical reviews, but then obviously when audiences got to see it, it started to be, it was very mixed, and it went from, from the 90s in the critic reviews down to like the 50s when it comes to audience reviews. And that's something that is very worrying, especially coming into this movie now that you've got critics even saying and even giving mixed reactions. So it's not good in terms of an early response, especially at the premiere to the last ever Star Wars Skywalker saga film, and that's kind of what I think has people on edge with this film. I'm still looking forward to it. I think personally that you have to go in and give your own opinion. Don't look at reviews online and think, okay, well that's going to be my review of the movie. Like, go into it and give your own opinion based on what you see and how you personally feel towards the film. And I think a lot of people, with the Last Jedi, did do that. A lot of people were criticised that essentially, the fans were just hating on the film. Well, obviously they weren't, because the critical response that came out earlier on for The Last Jedi was so positive that fans were excited. And then when fans had seen the movie, they were like, I don't agree with that. And that's kind of the, the discourse going on amongst Star Wars fans versus critics at the minute. And now with this film, you've got critics coming out and even questioning the film, and that's kind of very worrying going into this final film in the Skywalker saga. I personally, obviously, I haven't done a video on The Last Jedi because I've only just returned doing movie videos today. But with The Last Jedi, I had a weird experience with that film. The first time I saw it, I thought it was good. I saw it and I thought the production design, everything that went on, in the involvement of that film was great in terms of its, production, the creation and story and everything. And I very much enjoyed it. But then I started to see the problems the more I watched it. For me, the problem with The Last Jedi is the longevity of it. The more you watch it, the more you just see things that just feel so, against what Star Wars is. And on top of that, not just being, a huge plot twist, they were plot twists that essentially didn't feel right. They just felt like they wanted to shock you. I still like the film. I don't absolutely hate it like some people do. I think it's a good film. I just think there's so much wrong with it that it just becomes worse the more and more you revisit the film. And that's something that a lot of people are now carrying into The Rise of Skywalker, and has become a huge fear that essentially this film is going to try and play catch up and is going to try and shove loads of story and character development into one film that we should have got in the last film. And it looks like, based on a few reviews, this could be the case. The fact that there's a lot of the critic reactions are coming out saying that essentially it's either an amazing film or it's a film that essentially has tried to be too much convenient to fan service, but on top of that, do stuff that should have been done in the previous film. And I'm not just talking about plot points and stuff, I'm talking about development of characters that they've basically done a 180 on, and that's what some of these reviews are kind of hinting at. And it does seem very worrying, especially, as I said, this is the final Skywalker film. This is people's childhood. This is what people grew up on. So it's definitely worrying, but as I said, I think we have to remain calm. We have to go into this film with a fresh mind and just treat it as its own film, its own Star Wars film. Don't, forget about what happened in The Last Jedi and everything with that. Obviously, the story is going to continue from what happened in The Last Jedi, and, it's also kind of worrying that J.J. Abrams has come out and said that he's actually took a lot of inspiration from The Last Jedi. If he means in terms of, risking stuff, I'm all on board with that, but I really hope he doesn't risk stuff in terms of doing it for shock factor. I don't mind a director, putting changes that we didn't expect, but as long as it feels connected to Star Wars and the story that is being told in this trilogy, and that's something that The Last Jedi completely abandoned. It had shock moments that just didn't feel right, in terms of the story. And there are a few that are questionable and are debatable. For instance, the whole Rey not being connected to the Skywalker lineage and stuff, and she's, basically a no one. I didn't mind that. A lot of people will probably jump on me for that and say, like, what are you on about? But I honestly didn't mind that she was not a Skywalker. I think the idea that Rey is kind of as strong as she is, and she's not a Skywalker, wasn't the problem with The Last Jedi. It wasn't that really annoyed me. The thing that annoyed me in The Last Jedi was the fact that, she was so powerful and we hardly got any explanation. We didn't get much explanation behind that. Most of that came from The Force Awakens, and it just wasn't carried through into The Last Jedi. She was doing stuff that wasn't developed enough, it wasn't shown in the film enough, whether it was her training or etc. There just wasn't enough of that. And I think now they're trying to play catch up, and they're actually trying to show why, all these things have happened in The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens, but it does seem kind of late. So I guess we're going to have to see. Look, I'm going into it with a fresh mind. I'm not going to judge the film, for a few reviews online. It is kind of nervy at the minute, especially, after now the critics are kind of jumping on the back of the film. So we're going to have to see what happens, and I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, we've only got 2 days now till it comes out, I think, in the UK, and then obviously a day later overseas. So I'm looking forward to it, and I will be doing a review on this channel. So if you did enjoy this video and you want to see the my review for The Rise of Skywalker, subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.